welcome to Dignifying Education Podcast. We are Dulce,
Daniel,
Regina,
Naomi,
Mariana,
Paula,
and Enriqueta.
and we're going to talk about some activities that we did in the first jornada, which were about substantive equality in sports.
Our main goal was to explore how do children understand equality, dignity, and human rights, and to promote equality by recognizing female and child athletes who are less visible in the sports world.
Yes, we were asked to create a creative activity for kids who make biographies of athletes, specifically about women and children. This was to raise awareness about gender inclusions in sports.
And the good thing is, all of us use a different dynamics or formats. Some of the ones we used was making a poster of a big drawing of the athlete and adding information around it.
In our case, with first graders, we noticed that since are very young, they don't understand the distinctions about who can play or cannot play sports. They just simply relate ability to practice, which was really nice to see. That's why we try to connect the activity with healthy lifestyles, linked that what they knew about food, exercise, and play the idea to anyone can develop skills in sports.
Well, while working with my group, something very similar happened because throughout the activity, they not only learn personal facts about the female athletes, but they also learn their skills like how strong they were or how fast they were. And by using female athletes as models, we challenge them to question their beliefs about gender.
Well, and all of this sounds really nice, but we also have to think about reality and ask ourselves what were our results.
Well, in my case, I was really surprised at how well the class went. I used the poster activity and all the students understood it perfectly. They worked together, they worked with colors, with a lot of information. They were excellent. Also, I have a student with very severe autism and he don't need extra help. He worked super efficiently. I think that the most difficult part was the part of the exposition because they were a little bit shy, but I know that they did their best, and with that I am more than satisfied.
Unlike Dulce, in my case, my students only knew about men athletes. So when I did this activity, they learned about all the whole sport world. But at first they were a little confused because they even didn't know where to start to write. Some of them have some problems with the lectures. However, as we move on, they began to identify key information and ask some questions.
When I started my class, I was really surprised to see that my students were actually very open-minded about women in sports. When I asked them about if they knew any female soccer player, most of them mentioned female relatives, or even one girl said that she played herself. However, they didn't know any female famous soccer players. So they were really excited to find out that their favorite soccer teams had women in them.
Compared to Mariana, my students had a lot of knowledge about female athletes, just like La Generala, Simone Biles, and others. What I did was connect healthy living with athletes. For example, have a balanced diet, drinking water, sleep 8 hours, or exercising. The goal was for them to express how these athletes inspire them to take care of themselves, both physically and emotionally. And also realized that they found the activity different, nothing like what they're used to. They normally only work with worksheets. So the activity I stand inside them because they could let their imagination run free.
I actually relate a lot with what both of you are saying. When I heard Mariana mention that her students didn't know any famous female players, it reminded me of my group too. They weren't rejecting the idea of women in sports. They just didn't have the reference, and when Regina talked about her students already knowing athletes like La Generala or Simone Biles, it made me realize how different each group exposures can be.
Well, during my class, the students were really excited to learn about female athletes. They will say things like, "Oh, I didn't know her. Is she really that fast? Is she really that strong? That's awesome." Their reaction will show how visibility does shape equality. And if children only see male athletes, they may start to believe that only men can succeed.
I want to mention that this experience helped me to recognize the indirect discrimination. Del Pino explains that indirect discrimination occurs when practices that seem neutral end up having a negative impact on certain groups. In sport, for example, media coverage focuses much more on men. So children grow up knowing mostly male athletes. Our students initially didn't know any of female athletes. That's inequality reproduced through visibility. But it is these through activities like this in the classrooms that we as teachers can promote change.
And of course, this isn't something we just leave on the surface. These are many learnings from this activity, and each of us learning something different.
This learning experience allowed me to see that when students are given creative space that differs from the usual routine, they become more engaged and express their ideas more freely. Changing the routine not only enhances their participation but also enrich their learning process and offers them new ways to connect with the content.
Something that really stayed with me from this whole experience is how powerful it is when their children learn to see others with equality. And not because we gave them a definition, because they experience this in the classroom. For example, equality isn't just like treating everyone the same. It's making sure everyone has the same opportunities to participate, to learn, to be recognized. And dignity is about valuing each person for who they are, understanding that every student deserves respect simply because they are a human.
As future teachers, we do learn that these activities are not only academic. They help children practice human rights, their right to participation, and their right to equality. This connects to how Magenzo and Pavés said that the education is a key space for building human rights, like democracy. Students do learn how to react, how to feel, reflect, express themselves, and how to practice their rights in daily life. They become subject of rights in their everyday interactions.
That's why, as future teachers, we have the responsibility to eliminate barriers, promote inclusion, and plant seeds of critical thinking and the recognition of human rights. Equality in Mexico is supported by laws, but real change begins in classroom and communities. When children value diversity and human dignity, we are contributed to be more equal world.
Something that I think it's important to highlight and that I noticed with my students, and as Paula mentioned before about Del Pino, is the indirect discrimination that exists in sports. Because, yeah, we all talk about equality and all that, but from the moment I realized that none of the children in my class knew any female athletes, that already shows a problem. And it's not their fault, it's simply that women aren't recognized because many people see sport as something for men. Even men get paid more than women in almost all sports. Even though in some cases like volleyball, the women's games are watched more than the men's. And so tell me, isn't that discrimination just because of their gender?
Hearing what Dulce mentions made me think a lot about how, as future teachers, we have the responsibility to make visible those who have historically been ignored, whether in sports, in the classroom, or in any other space. I realized that our role is not only to teach content, but to open doors, to show diverse role models, question stereotypes, and create an environment where everyone feels seen. As Del Pino mentioned, equality must be effective, a material fact, and lived by diverse people.
For me, this experience made it clear that education goes far beyond teaching content. It is also about helping students question what they see as the normal. And when I noticed that my class only recognized male address, I realized how invisible certain groups can become when society doesn't talk really about them. That's why creating learning spaces where students can discover diverse stories is essential. It not only adds to their knowledge, but also helps them understand that everyone deserves the same visibility and respect, regardless of the gender or background.
So, we hope our experience shows how sports and education can help to promote human rights, gender inclusion, and dignity in everyday school life.
By recognizing diversity and challenging discrimination, even in simple activities, we do teach children that everyone deserves respect and equal opportunities.
Thank you for listening. Keep tuning in to listen to Dignifying Education podcast.
Goodbye.